you are producing a very moving documentary called After the Fall, A Breath of Life, which is focused on a cancer survivor and her cultural struggles when it comes to different approaches to the disease. Tell me about that.
It's about a young 28-year-old South Asian female. It's about her and her family having addressed her health concerns around having had 2 bouts of cancer as well as a double lung transplant. And it's about the conflict in their family. There was a cultural and values conflict around decision making as well as treatment options. So for example, her mother initially disagreed with her getting a lung transplant. And so the documentary unpacks several themes around that, particularly the cultural piece.
So there is a dichotomy here clearly when it has come to traditional cultural South Asian values and then the values of us first generation who could hold different values than our parents. How do you think that dichotomy was translated on screen with this documentary?
The documentary, I believe, an amazing job looking at those perspectives. That's what's quite unique about this doc, in which we were able to unpack Mom's views, her sister's, because she ended up being a caregiver naturally to Shilpa's perspective as well. So we did a great job showcasing all these perspectives. TGL and Trillium Gift of Life Network provided us with some stats. And so we have a low, I guess you could say, uptake or registration rate in Ontario, in terms of only about 25% of Ontarians are actually registered to be and have consented to be an organ donor in the province. And that's highly concerning. And they had done a survey looking at what are the gaps, and there are issues around myths and perceptions in our community. There was such a need to raise the issue around increasing awareness around registration, as well as having more of that dialogue with our youth or even different generations around organ transplant, because it's something that's kind of uncomfortable to talk about.
When you're listed for transplant and you're waiting with people, you know that not everyone is going to make it to get those lungs. I mean, you hope that they do, but not everyone does.
The documentary, which chronicles your story, is After the Fall. Really looks at not just you, but your family and how everybody kind of came together to understand what you were going through, the process, and how they felt and what they thought about it. Tell me about the most poignant moment in this process for you.
It's really neat to see, I guess, all our perspectives, because myself, my mom, my sister, we're all in different positions. I do get a chance to sort of reflect on my experience, but I think for them to relive it and sort of say how they experienced all of it and kind of contrast that, different points of view of the same experience. It's neat to see how we've all expressed it or dealt with it.
How important and how difficult or challenging was it for your family and for you to allow the cameras in to really capture this? Because it would put everybody in a very vulnerable position.
I think for myself, I'm usually a pretty private person. I mean, I'm very open with my friends and people who've seen me go through it. These conversations are open. To be so public and share that it's definitely interesting.
Individuals are watching this documentary. What do you want them to take away from your journey and your experiences and those of your family as well?
So I think it's important to see how transformative organ donation and transplant can be. In my case, there were a lot of ups and downs, but still there's something greater to be gained out of it. And I think seeing that could be the end result of a decision you make today to register. Maybe one day your organs could help somebody. You could save someone else's life.
And when it comes to your family and the question of tradition and cultures and differing perspectives in the South Asian community, what do you think other families who could be going through something similar or this situation, what do you want them to know?
Talk about it. Just talk about your concerns. Ask your questions. Ask the doctors. Find ways to be educated. Advocate for what you believe in. I think there is a space for everything. I think there's a space for culture and there's a space for science, and they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Just in terms of how we sought support. My mom, a lot of her support came from her cultural community and her temple and religious community, whereas for me, mine, a lot of it was from my friends, to some degree from medicine and science, because that's the way I think. So there is a place for everything. I think you just have to find that.